The waking pulse. Some heartbeats don't just keep you alive. They beat your secrets, and when they quicken, your lies take form. Soren Vale woke to the throb at 2:45 a.m., a deep, unnatural pulse hammering in his chest, shattering the silence of his mountain cabin studio. The studio, a log-walled retreat tucked in a snow-dusted ridge of the Rockies, was his creative sanctuary, cluttered with cameras, soundboards, and tattered scripts for his YouTube channel, Pulses of Dread, where he spun fictional thrillers and probed haunted rhythms for 240,000 subscribers. He flicked on the desk lamp, its glow trembling across the frost-etched windows, and felt it. A pulse, alien and relentless, chanting a mystery he'd buried. Soren, you betrayed her. It wasn't his heartbeat. Hadn't been there when he'd collapsed after editing a video about cursed cadences. The cabin was bolted, the windows sealed, the mountain silence heavy outside. Soren's breath caught as he pressed his hand to his chest, the pulse sharpening, accusing. You broke her vow. He laughed, a frail reflex against the fear strangling his throat. But the sound was drowned by the throb. He was a storyteller, his channel built on crafting dread, not succumbing to it, yet this was too vivid, too personal. His phone buzzed. On the workbench, a notification from no sender. Feel it now. The air grew heavy, thick with a scent like pine and something acrid, like blood. Soren wasn't reckless. He'd filmed in haunted mines, narrated tales of forbidden rhythms for his series Beating Nightmares. But this was intimate, the pulse too alive, its rhythm vibrating through his bones like a drum. The pulse surged, forming a ring, silver and etched with a vine pattern, glowing faintly beneath his skin. The whisper named it. You abandoned her. Soren's stomach twisted. The ring was familiar. His friend Mara Lynn had worn one like it, a token from their film school pact to always share their creations. Mara had died 4 years ago in an avalanche. Soren had survived. They'd been filming a high-risk shoot for his channel, Mara warning about the unstable snowpack, Soren pushing for a dramatic scene amid the peaks. The avalanche roared, and Soren escaped, telling rescuers he'd tried to save Mara. But he'd fled, too scared to dig through the snow for her. The whisper grew, Mara's voice now low and accusing. You stole my breath. Soren's laptop flared, playing footage he hadn't shot. The slope, Mara buried, her ring glinting, a shadow stirring in the snow. The pulse quickened, and the ring appeared on his desk, its vine glowing, warm as a pulse. His phone flickered, showing a live feed of the cabin filmed from an impossible angle above, his face pale, the ring glowing like a coal. He looked up, no camera, just knotted beams. The feed shifted, showing Mara behind him, gray and frostbitten, her ring gleaming. Soren spun, but the cabin was empty, the whisper in his chest. Wear it. His hands trembled, guilt surging like a blizzard. He hadn't just survived, he'd lied, claiming Mara ignored his warnings, hiding his ambition. He'd built pulses of dread on stories that erased her vision, profiting from her death as his subscriber count soared. The pulse intensified, naming his sins. Soren laughing on the slope, Mara's screams muffled by the snow. He clawed at his chest, trying to stop it, but it beat harder, louder, the ring glowing brighter, the whisper deafening. You gave her to them. A figure throbbed in the shadows, its form blurred, its chest pulsing in sync. The cabin shook, the walls groaning, a door forming where his camera stand stood, its frame etched with vines. It wasn't in the cabin's layout, wasn't real. Soren clutched the ring, its metal searing his palm, and the door swung open, revealing a staircase descending into darkness. The whisper roared, "Find her!" He didn't want to go. Every instinct screamed to run. But the ring pulsed, the heartbeat searing his mind. He grabbed his flashlight, its beam trembling, and stepped onto the stairs, the door slamming shut. The staircase was stone, its walls carved with vines flickering with the ring's light. The air was cold, smelling of ice and blood, like the avalanche's aftermath. The flashlight caught Mara's face in the walls, her eyes accusing, her ring glowing. Soren's chest ached, tears spilling. He hadn't meant to let Mara die, hadn't meant to lie. But the truth was worse. He'd craved fame. Mara's caution, a burden he'd shed. The stairs spiraled deeper, the walls closing in, the air growing heavier. He stumbled, the flashlight skittering across the stone, its beam catching carvings of their film school days. Soren and Mara in the editing suite, splicing footage, laughing over cheap coffee, their rings glinting in sync. The memory stung, a reminder of the pact he'd broken, the trust he'd traded for views. The stairs ended at a chamber, vast and shadowed, its ceiling lost in darkness. At its center stood a plinth, the ring resting on it glowing brighter, the pulse deafening in his chest. Mara's voice echoed, "You traded me." Soren approached, his legs heavy, the whisper pounding in his skull. He reached for the ring, and the chamber shook, the walls morphing into the slope, its snow collapsing, cold biting the air. The flashlight died, the ring's glow the only light. The figure emerged, not Mara but Soren himself, his face pale, his chest throbbing with the same pulse. "You gave me to them," the figure said, its voice his own, layered with something ancient, ravenous. Soren backed away, the ring burning, naming his sins, abandoning Mara, stealing her shots, running from guilt. A memory surged, the pact, Soren and Mara vowing to share their art, sealed with the ring. Soren had broken it, whispering to the dark he'd trade anything for a viral hit. The snow closed in, the figure's hands cold, pulling Soren into the pulse. The ring glowed, its vine rewriting his life, his channel erased, his name forgotten, his cabin gone. He fought, his screams drowned by the pulse, but the rhythm was endless. He woke in the slope's ruins, dawn breaking over shattered ice. His cabin was gone, his phone blank, the ring cold on his finger, the vine etched on his skin. Footprints, small and frosted, led into the fog. Soren followed and found a lens, half buried, its glass pulsing his heartbeat, glowing with guilt. A whisper followed his own voice. "You're theirs." Mara's voice lingered inside him, a beat he'd never still. Morning came, and his studio was empty, his digital footprint wiped. The police found a burn mark in the ruins, shaped like a vine. Locals whispered of a man in the fog wearing a ring, waiting for someone to feel it. Soren's neighbor heard thudding at night, a pulse humming in an empty cabin. Somewhere, in a place of ice and blood, Soren stands, the ring on his finger, his pulse rising, naming his failures. His own figure watches, its smile eternal, its voice a constant hum. The worst part, the thing that keeps him trapped, is the truth he'll never know. The figure wasn't Mara's. It was Soren's, driven by his lies, a debt he'd never repay. Would you feel it? Comment yes or no and tag a friend who'd face the pulse. Follow for more stories that beat.